Western Australia establishes protest-free safe zones at abortion clinics. In Australia, on August 12th, 2021, the McGowan government of Western Australia passed a law to establish safe zones around facilities that provide abortion and other reproductive health services.
Oh, that's
The
great.
bill represents a landmark achievement in the efforts to protect access to such facilities for the many women who rely on them. Bill 2020, the Public Health Amendment (parentheses safe access zones), will ensure that women will have a quote safe and private access and without fear or intimidation end quote when undergoing abortions. The bill will establish a 150 meter or almost 500-foot safe access zone around clinics or any other establishment authorized to provide abortions. The safe access zone is effective at all times. The safe access zone will also prohibit certain acts that were once legally allowed to be carried out at across abortion clinics, including conducting demonstrations and picketing. Violators will be subject to a potential maximum penalty of 12 months imprisonment and a penalty fine of $12,000.
Wow. Wait, 12,000 US dollars?
I'm assuming Australian.
Okay.
Australian, definitely Australian.
Okay. I don't know what that is in real money. But that's amazing.
They just use monopoly money over there, right?
But that's amazing. Australia is like becoming a test hub for progress.
Well, another fun fact is that this is the last, it's a state, right? They have states in Australia, or is it provinces? This is the last state in Australia to have a provision like this. So now all of Australia is covered with these safe access zones.
Nice. Why hasn't this been the thing already? This is amazing. Who came up with this? This is a great suggestion. And again, this is not violating anyone's free, like before the free speech people, which we are free speech people, but the fake free speech people come out. You can still protest. You could protest your opinions without harassing people, right? Like nobody is stopping you to go into the maybe city center or come up with a designated area and get a license for your protest and protest. Like this is not like you can't protest. You just can't protest here, where like these women who are probably going, a lot of them, again, not all of them, might be going through a lot of emotional turmoil already because of the decisions that they have to make. Again, not all of them. It's completely understandable, but for some women to be like, this is no issue for me. I need an abortion. I'm going to take an abortion. I have no issues with this, right? But some of them will be having and then having to go through this. Like this is such not something anybody needs to be exposed to, right? Again, you have a right to express your opinion. You don't have a right to a specific audience, right? Having freedom of speech does not mean having that right does not mean that you have a right to the audience that you desire, right? If your speech is forced upon people, then that is a violation of their right again, right? So for example, if I desecrate the Quran on my platform, on my YouTube channel, in my house, okay, with my Quran that I paid for, that is my freedom of speech. If I go in front of a mosque and every Muslim that comes out and tear a Quran in front of them and they don't want to see that, I should be arrested for harassment. They don't want to see that, right? If I know that this is bothering them, and every Muslim that comes out of a mosque are like, hey, look at this, and they basically are making it very difficult for them to avoid me. That is harassment. I have a right to desecrate the Quran. I don't have a right to making sure that these Muslims see what I'm doing to make sure that I'm harassing them. That would be harassment, right? It would be fair. Like I am in favor of desecrating the Quran, and me as a person who is in favor of desecrating the Quran would say that if somebody is doing that in front of a mosque, it's completely justified for them to be arrested for harassment. But anyway, go on, Susanna.
Well, that's an interesting point because there is this far right Scandinavian. I get all the Scandinavian countries confused, so I can't remember exactly what country. But this like far right politician, possibly in Norway, maybe not, who what he will do with his supporters is he will go to neighborhoods that have a heavy Muslim population, and he will specifically go to these neighborhoods and will go to a public park, and then he will do things like publicly burn the Quran, or he will literally play like a game of catch with the Quran, like with his supporters in a park that is technically a totally public space, but he does specifically go to areas that have high Muslim populations, and he receives full police protection to do this thing. Do you think that's the same?
Well, that's okay. That should be legal, but it's also immoral, right? So that is crossing the that is not crossing the enough line for me to become illegal, but it is crossing a line for me to consider it immoral. So even though I think that should be protected legally, I would still call it a dick move, right? Not everything that is legal is good, okay? Like just because I would support something to be protected legally, it doesn't mean that I would support it morally, right? Because that is a public place, and technically the Muslims who are there who don't like it can technically walk away. I think it would be too much government intervention if they make that illegal. But it is such a dick move. Like morally, I would completely call that as like you should make it easy for people who don't want to see what your content or your ideas. You should make it. You should go like morally. You should go out of your way to make it easy for them to opt out of watching what you're doing. Right. That's why because in that spirit, we have decided from now on that whenever we desecrate the Quran on our shows, to even provide a trigger warning, right? Because we do have Muslim audience. I mean, technically, every time we did desecration of the Quran, it was titled "Desecrating the Quran." Like, if you clicked on it, I mean, you clicked on it knowing what the title is, right? And it wasn't, so. But now, even we're going further. Like, we're actually providing trigger warning for people who don't want to see what we're doing, because we're fighting for our freedom of expression. We're not trying to force you to see something you don't want to see, right? But that's a very good, interesting question. I didn't know that. That's a very good question to address where the legal barrier lines and moral lines. Very, very interesting example.
Well, thank you. And people are asking like for the guy's name or what country. I can't remember, but I think it's in the same country where there was a proposal to mandate that businesses that sell food, like mandate that they sell pork, which was another far right, like anti-Muslim measure. And I was trying to find what country was trying to put forth that proposal, and my search engine is way too American centric and I can't find that information right now. But if you're interested, go look for those bits of information. There's also, I think, videos, Vice interviews with this guy, so maybe you can find it.
You want to read the comment that I
have? Zakuro is saying Australia's been going in the right direction. That 40% of all Aussies are atheists makes it better for people there than the US, where 60% of people are religious. Isn't that the same statistic, just reversed?
No, because believing doesn't mean religious. Because, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because religious is beyond, like when you say 60% religious, that's just beyond. I don't know, by the way, I don't know if these stats are real, but it's interesting. Yeah. Because you could say you could have 60% believing, but not 60% religious. You know what I mean? Anyways. Okay. But yeah, but it does sound like that. It's not comparable. Like if you actually want to provide Zakura, if you actually want to provide statistics that is comparable for us to actually make a judgment on it, you should compare the level of number of atheists with atheists, or religious people with religious people. Those two numbers are not helpful to compare.
Well, and that percentage in the US is extremely variable depending on if you're going by someone who puts none when asked their religion versus someone who self-identifies as an atheist or an agnostic, etc. Like those all poll very differently. So in America, like there is a great rise of nuns when they just identify as having no religion, but they don't necessarily identify as atheists. And oftentimes, I just read an article about a lot of them have, especially millennial nuns, have very diffuse in heterodox spiritual beliefs. I was kind of thinking maybe we'd cover that story, but I'm not sure. Hey guys, if you're a fan of Blasphemy and Sexy Callie, like me, then you need to be sure to subscribe to our newsletter, link in the description below. Because if you subscribe, we will send you a free copy of our Blasphemous Art ebook. And let me tell you, it is the tastiest blasphemy that you can find anywhere available today. And we are so generous with our blasphemy that we continue to send you more blasphemy every week. So make sure to subscribe, link in the description below.